These people today don't know what a strike is.
Right.
When my men hit the streets, from Maine to Texas, every single port will lock down. You know what's gonna happen? I'll tell you. First week, be all over the news every night, boom, boom. Second week, guys who sell cars can't sell cars because the cars ain't coming in off the ships. They get laid off. Third week, malls start closing down. They can't get the goods from China. They can't sell clothes. They can't do this. Everything in the United States comes on a ship. They go out of business. Construction workers get laid off because the materials aren't coming in. The steel's not coming in. The lumber's not coming in. They lose their job. Everybody's hating the longshoremen now because now they realize how important our jobs are. Now I have the president screaming at me, I'm putting a Taft-Hartley on you. Go ahead. Taft-Hartley means I have to go back to work for 90 days. That's a cooling off period. Do you think when I go back for 90 days, those men are gonna go to work on that pier? It's gonna cost the company's money to pay their salaries. Well, they went from 30 moves an hour maybe to 8. They're gonna be like this. Who's gonna win here in the long run? You're better off sitting down and let's get a contract and let's move on with this world. And in today's world, I'll cripple you. I will cripple you, and you have no idea what that means. Nobody does.
So that is Harold Daggett, the president of the International Longshoremen's Association, and this was filmed, at least published 3 weeks ago, and he's been trying to get a contract with the people that are associated with the government, and the government is almost needing to be a mediator at this point, which good luck with this administration, right? But what's going to end up happening, and for those that are not aware, this is a potential port strike. So the port strike is going to be for all of the eastern coast ports. There are going to be 14 of them, ranging from Maine all the way down to Texas. And if you want to be super specific, from Boston to Austin. So these are going to be perilous times for the economy. Inflation's probably going to go up if they cannot make a deal. The current contract ends tomorrow, and which is September 30th. I'm filming this September 29th. By the way, welcome everybody. This is a Sunday night special for you all. I figured that this was going to be something that is going to be something to talk about and to really take note of and to start preparing just in case, looking at what's going to be the possible scenarios, because like this guy says, and we'll go back to this and we'll watch a little bit more of what he has to say. But I wanted to open with that because I wanted to let people know about what's to come down in the pipeline. If the strike if the strike begins on October 1st, which is just a couple days from now, everybody in the United States will be impacted. Those ports from Maine to Austin, Texas, those ports are responsible for, according to a statistic that I read earlier, 68% of the total goods that come into the country. So when he says, when this Harold guy says that you're going to be crippled, I don't think he's joking. Okay, I don't think he's joking. And for each day that there is a strike, supposedly it's going to take 4 to 6 business days for everything to regulate itself once more. So that means that if there's a strike for 3 weeks, it could take 3+ months to get back to normal. Okay, which means that we'll be dealing with higher inflation rates, higher costs of goods, higher costs of all these things for months at a time into next year. So let's see a little bit what the big news agencies have to say. Let's actually start with this one here.
could stand still and the goods in these containers stalled if dock workers walk off the job. From Boston and New York all the way down to New Orleans and Houston.
Yeah, there you go. Take a look at that. Those are, so I guess it's actually just Boston. My apologies. Maryland. Or, yeah, Massachusetts. So all of, like pretty much every single port along the East Coast.
The International Longshoremen's Association represents at least 25,000 workers at these ports. They're at an impasse over a new 6-year contract.
And what's the goal here? I want to let this person go and let them talk, but what's the goal? They want to, according to my research, they want a 70% increase of pay. And in this conversation here, we'll get more information with this guy, this Harold guy. We'll get more information here, but because I think he has a lot of good things to say, at least that give clarity to the situation. But let's continue with this.
They want higher wages and less automation. The union boss in recent weeks defiant.
These companies are making billions of dollars. They should take us along.
Port officials preparing for a shutdown at midnight on Monday.
All activity in the Port of New York and New Jersey with regards to containerized cargo and automobile cargo will cease.
The United States Maritime Alliance, representing shippers and ports, blamed the union's, quote, repeated refusal to come to the table and bargain. A strike could cost up to $4.5 billion a day. Everything from canned goods and chocolate, car parts and electronics move through these ports. Some of the biggest retailers import goods here, like Walmart, Samsung, and Home Depot. George Berry owns a small trucking business and hauls shipping containers at the Port of Virginia.
It's actually something that touches every grocery store cart, right, and every family budget if you really game it out.
100%. We're looking at the possibilities of empty store shelves. We're looking at the possibility of homes stop being built because there's lumber needed, there's steel needed.
The president has the power to break a strike, but right now the White House says he is not considering doing that.
Like, hello? And you got to wonder, because these contracts were made years in advance, you got to wonder, why does the contract end a month before the elections? Because this can potentially inflict the election cycle, and this can potentially provide drastic consequences for the election itself. In fact, it can delay the election, apparently. So you've got to wonder, like, what is their strategy here? Like, what? Because nothing in politics, as FDR said, nothing in politics is ever by accident. And this is huge. I mean, this is very huge.
Christine, you mentioned retailers. Yeah. Will this affect the holiday shopping season?
So retailers have seen this coming, and they have been basically stockpiling their goods for the holiday shopping season. But if they move forward with a strike here, supply chain experts tell us for every day the ports are closed, it can take up to 5 days to catch up, Lester.
All right.
There you go. Okay, now let's take a look here.
Busiest ports could come to a standstill as 45,000 workers could walk off the job if union negotiators cannot reach a deal.
What's so crazy is that 45,000 people can literally change the course of a nation, okay, if not the world, because this can impact other countries as well, but obviously it's going to impact the economy of the U.S. more so than anywhere else. But just, this is the power of the people. This is the power of the people, whether for better or for worse, because these people that are choosing not to go to work are going to affect the lives of millions of people. And I mean, I don't know the exact work conditions. We'll hear more about that from this guy. I mean, I don't know the exact number of what they're making necessarily either. So we'll know more about that when we have this conversation with this guy here. But let's continue.
When their contract expires coming up Tuesday.
The move could cost our economy, get this, up to $5 billion a day.
Sunday Morning Features anchor Maria Bartiromo joins us now. Good morning, Maria. You know,
hey, team.
I've had a couple of conversations over the last 2 mornings with people in the know on this, and they all say the same thing, Maria. The president's going to have to do something to stop this strike.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, look, I mean, the dock workers know that they can go on strike because they've seen this movie before. You know, the Biden administration has gotten involved in these work issues between unions and the corporations time and time again. I mean, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, they threatened to join the picket lines, and they do join the picket lines. They attack the leadership of corporate America. It's so divisive. So these workers know that, yeah, sure, they could create a big issue and take to the picket lines, stop all of these products from moving, and they will get the raise that they want because they've seen this before. And so it again shows the ineptitude of this administration, but it also shows that inflation is about to go higher once again. I mean, we have had this last year of the Federal Reserve trying to rein in inflation. If you're talking about half of all goods shipped in containers in and out of the U.S. stopping, you're talking about produce, you're talking about everyday items that will not be on the shelves. Yeah, the administration will likely get involved, and we will likely see inflation spike once again. So we just saw this year of the Fed trying to rein in inflation by raising interest rates. Then they had to cut interest rates by a very shocking half a point just a week and a half ago. And because the economy is weakening. And this is just going to add to that. And I would expect another spike in inflation. And I would expect an economy that gets impacted in terms of going to the stores and not finding what you need.
And that's what is going to be most notable throughout all of this, is that you're not going to find the goods. So all of these canned goods, like, get the canned tuna while you can, you know, get like whatever kind of protein that's canned right now, get it while you can. Kidney beans are going to be a great option. And I'm not necessarily saying to go doomsbuy or, you know, to buy this stuff out of fear, because we do not operate out of the spirit of fear. We operate out of the spirit that is holy, the Holy Spirit. And we don't buy into the fear, but we're also not deluded to what's coming. Okay, now let's go and let's have this conversation with this guy. Let's hear what he has to say, because obviously this guy's been involved with this association for years, and I think it's important to hear from their leader what he has to say and what's all this about.
I believe you said you joined in 1967.
Yes.
You must have an incredibly unique perspective on how the industry changed in those years. You came on before containerization, and you were a young guy and in the family of this industry. How if you could do a 50,000-foot view of how you've seen it change, what is it to you?
I can tell you it changed a lot. I can tell you back in the 60s, the first company that started in containerization was Sealand. Two truck drivers, Malcolm McLean, Cecil Yeagers, got together and said, you know, we're taking cargo up and down the East Coast. Why don't we get a ship, put the cargo on a ship, and go up and down the East Coast? They weren't even thinking about over Europe, none of that. They wanted to try to catch a trucking company to put it on a ship and bring it up here, put it on a ship and bring it down here. So they went and got an old tanker ship, and they got engineers, and they sponsored the money, and they got people to chip in, and they came up and they built a crane on the ship, and they got a container, and they put the cargo in. And maybe the first ship came up with 50 boxes. Not even 50, 20 boxes. It worked. They came in to the port, the crane on the ship unloaded them, and they loaded them on, and they went down. Well, it caught on. And from there, everywhere you go in the world, you'll see those cranes. They look like monsters. No matter where you go, what port, overseas, Europe, Rotterdam, Amsterdam, anywhere, Spain, those cranes are there. It all started with Sealand. The company before Sealand is called Pan Atlantic, but Sealand bought that, and then they became Sealand. Okay, I show up in 1967. I explained to you before, the maintenance local was down. We built it all up, you heard me. Where the changes started, we always went for a 3-year contract.
Okay. Let's take note of that. Just going forward, take note. The 3-year contract. And why did they do the 3-year contract?
When my father, when I was a young kid, we went on strike for 25 cents. 25 cents. We went on strike in 1977 for 3 months for 80 cents. Fast forward, back then the companies were lucky they made millions of dollars, 10 million, 5 million. Today, they make billions and billions of dollars.
Okay. This is where he's going with this. This is where he's going. He's saying now that they're making more money, like, where's their share, basically?
They make, MSC is the richest shipping company in the world, made 3 times the money than Amazon.
So all of these dock workers, they're wanting a part of that because they're playing a part in it.
A lot of money, right? Billions. Well, one of the companies, and I won't mention his name, he took himself a Christmas bonus, $4 billion. He took it out for him and his family, $4 billion. A French company, I won't mention their name, they gave all their employees 50 months salary as a Christmas gift. Now, look at that money. They have so much money, they don't even know what to do with it. They know they're building up terminals. They want to go automation. They want more money now. Get rid of these men. We don't need them no more. It's a big change going on. I've been fighting automation for years. They destroyed LA. They put a fully automated terminal out there at Maersk Line. 800 longshoremen lost their jobs. If it was up to them, they would like to see everybody lose their jobs.
And I've seen this firsthand in the corporate world. I mean, I've seen in the last year over half a dozen to a dozen people lose their jobs because of AI. And which I think is a mistake because AI is a tool and you can definitely utilize it to improve your business. I mean, even me myself, I've used AI for my own businesses and it's paid off. But I don't necessarily think that to get rid of people is the answer. So I completely understand where this guy's coming from in that perspective. And I don't think automation in regard to at the expense of people is going to be the answer either.
Let me tell you, it's not just in the longshore. They got ships in Europe that they're building. They got one now, runs on a battery, container ship. No crew. Somebody in an office building runs it. Goes out, goes in. They don't want anybody. They don't want to pay anybody. It's not only this union, it's in every union in every aspect. If they keep putting machinery to take our jobs, who's going to pay the income tax? Machines are not. Who's going to pay for the military, the roads? Everything runs by taxes. Take Easy Pass. The first time they come out with Easy Pass, 1 lane, and cars were going through and everybody's sitting in their car and go, what's that all about? Well, I'm going to get one of them. Today, all those union jobs are gone and it's all Easy Pass. People don't realize it. Everybody's got 3 cars, everybody got an Easy Pass on the window. And they go through like it's nothing. And they get billed in the mail. They didn't care about that union worker working in the booth. You go in a store today, it's self-checking. They don't need anybody to check out no more. Someone has to get into Congress and say, whoa, time out. This world is going too fast for us. Machines got to stop. Yes, we're getting smart kids out of MIT and all these places. Yeah, they're all brilliant. But what good is it if you're going to put people out of work?
I mean, it's a good point. It's a good point.
Who's going to support their families? Machines? Machines don't have families. You got to draw the line. These companies that work in the maritime business come from overseas. Not one of them belongs to America. They want to come into America and build fully automated terminals and get rid of American jobs. Good paying jobs that support families with medical, pensions, annuities, and pay taxes. They want to get rid of them. Where's the President of the United States? He's not fighting for us. He told in LA, he told the union, hurry up and get a contract. That's the mentality they have. They don't even know what the hell they're doing today. Well, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to save everybody's job when it comes to the ILA and to all the unions around the world, because we're going to fight it with that alliance. I'll shut them down throughout the world to prove that we can beat them.
And he's planning to do it. And I don't think he's wrong necessarily. I mean, there's a reason why, like, at some point you got to wonder, why aren't they not giving them what they want? Like, why are they not giving them what they want exactly?
So, yes, your answer is we came a long way. We came along so advanced that technology is mind-boggling. We never had cameras on the piers. They got a camera in every pole. They got cameras they want to put in the trucks to watch the driver driving. What is this, Big Brother? I'm against all that. I'm against that. A man can't even breathe without a camera looking at him. That's not right.
I like that.
What about, there certainly must be, since 1967, elements of technology that have been good for the industry.
Technology that's been good for the industry. That's a tough one because I got to be careful because I'm against automation. Semi-automation is automation. It's just the back avenue had to come in and give you automation without you knowing it. But certain technology, yes, is good because computers, we get more work done with computers. We have doubled the cargo. We have, if you look now, we have ships that are being built by these companies. Check this out. That whole 22,000 containers. It's a floating city. They had to take the Bayonne Bridge and raise it way up here so the ships could go under it to get in here to unload them. 22,000 containers. It's amazing how we came from the first ship with just a small amount of containers, 25, 50 boxes on them. So look at the future now. Look at the future in money. They went from millions of dollars to billions and billions of dollars. So the world is going by real quick.
Is it safe to say that you're not against technology for efficiencies, but you're person first, people first, like protecting jobs and families while embracing technology to keep the workflow efficient?
Let me explain a little bit about this. The first cranes that went up with diesel engines up there. As time went on, they got rid of diesel. Today, it's electric. The jobs on the waterfront are very dangerous. Just 2 years ago, one of my mechanics fell into the electric and he was fried to death. Wife, 4 kids.
So it is a pretty dangerous job.
Happens all the time on the piers. People getting killed. There was a woman checker. She was checking the boxes when a guy had a high-low with 2 stacks of steel. He should have been riding in reverse. He was looking through the bundles, knocked her down. He didn't even see her, dragged her under the high-low in front of her son, ripped her apart and killed her. It happens. It happens down here all the time. I had 2 guys killed right in front of me. It happens. We have a group in our local 1804 Dead called the Lashes. The most dangerous job on the waterfront. When they put the containers on top of the hatch covers, all the way up high, you see them in the container ship, they got to be all lashed down in case the storm and the seas are real rough. The ship is doing this and this. If they're not lashed down right, those containers are going to go over into the ocean and sink. Millions of dollars of cargo sunk. So what? My men got to go out there. It's 0 degrees. There's ice on top of the container. It's freezing with metal bars and hooks, safety lines on them, way up high, and they got to put them down tight, get up on the box, slide on the ice up on top. Completely dangerous. That's in the north. In the south, it could be 95, 105 degrees. Soaking wet down there. They got a guy that goes around, they call him the water boy, giving water to the men so they don't dehydrate. Or the ones that work in the hull of the ship, they get water.
So this is a good look at the work conditions. Okay, this is a great look at the work conditions. And this is what I was interested to learn about. Because when I first heard they wanted 70% of an increase of pay, I was like, what? Like, that sounds a bit ridiculous for any job. But when you get the backstory and when you hear about what they have to do, it doesn't sound all too ridiculous. Plus, these people control, they don't control it. I mean, they kind of do, but they give us the opportunity to live the way that we do, when you really think about it.
It's different elements. You have us here in the north, Canada. You have from Virginia down, all the way to Houston. Hot. Florida, everything's hot. Different elements. Dangerous job. We've had 17 people killed in the last 3 years. That's 17 people that didn't come home. We just had a kid killed in Houston. Young kid, a big roll of paper, weighed a ton, rolled off on top of him, killed him. That's why I fight. I fight for jurisdiction. I fight for safety. I fight for these to be compensated with good salaries. These companies are making billions of dollars. They should take us along. We brought them to where they are. Now they want to get rid of us? That's not fair. Not fair at all. And this union's been around close to 200 years. So you can see why I'm always fighting.
Why do you think you haven't had to strike since then?
Because you had leaders like me, and the companies got smart and said, we don't want to go through another 3 months strike. Let's negotiate in good faith. Back then, the companies didn't make the money that we make today. So we negotiated in good faith. We went with 6-year contracts. And we got $1 raise, $1.50 raise for 6 years. It was great. It was a lot of money compared to 80 cents for 3 months. But today's world, it's changing into the future. They're not making millions no more. They're making billions. And they're spending it fast as they make it. I want a piece of that for my men, because when they made their most money was during COVID. When my men
Okay, pay attention.
Had to go to work on those piers every single day when everybody stayed home and went to work. Not my men. They died out there with the virus. We all got sick with the virus. We kept them going. From Canada to Maine to Texas, Great Lakes, Puerto Rico, now the Bahamas, everybody went to work during COVID. Nobody stayed home. Well, I want to be compensated for that. I'm not asking for the world. They know what I want. They know what I want. And if they don't, well, then I have to go into the street and we have to fight for what we rightfully deserve.
It's a guy standing on principle, at least. And if he says that he's not asking for the world, he's just asking what they rightfully deserve. I mean, when you hear the story, when you hear the background, it doesn't sound altruistic or anything like that.
Do you think, this is my last question, do you think the threat of the strike is they can understand the significance of that based on the recent things that have happened, like our Key Bridge, we're from Maryland, our Key Bridge collapsing and it just stopping all the ships from being able to deliver?
I'm glad you brought that up, because I would like to tell you something.
Okay.
When that bridge fell, my longshoremen are on this side of the bridge, no work, no salaries. Biden called me up on the phone, President Biden. Harold, I got the money to build a new bridge. I go, oh. What about my longshoremen? They're out of work now. They didn't cause no problem. Well, he goes, I got the money for building a new bridge and getting the bridge that's in the water out of there. I ask you one more time, President, what about the men whose families now have no money coming in? Well, you know, if there was an explosion on a ship, maybe I can get the money. Listen, you're supposed to be a friend of the ILA. You came to me when you wanted the AFL CIO backing. I got it for you. You called me in the kitchen, you thanked me 1,000,000 times. I'm telling you, my members need help. Well, let me see what I can do. In politics, that means you're not getting it, okay? I opened up a fund with management after the first pandemic. Let me see how much money's in that fund. I called them up. They called me back. It's $300 million. Wow, are you kidding me? We put $300 million in there? Yeah. Well, I'd like to take some money out of there and pay for those families in Baltimore. Well, Harold, it's only for pandemic. Well, what about we get your lawyers and my lawyers, and any disaster, nature disaster, whatever, we can draw from it. I have no problem as long as the lawyers work it out. They worked it out in one day. It cost me $1.2 million every week to pay for their families. Plus, they were allowed to go to unemployment. And it's over now. They're back working. The ships are going in and out. I never got no help from the government. We did it on our own, management and union. That's what we're supposed to be doing, working together. And I hope we get back into that right realm.
Do you think
that was in Baltimore?
Right.
What was the question again?
Well, it was just about, like, I remember, like, how significantly it impacted our businesses, like the supply chain, because I live on the Chesapeake Bay, and all the ships were just waiting on the other side.
Let me explain something to you.
Okay, so now we're going into like the part of the clip that we saw at the very beginning of this video. And, you know, just to kind of round things off here, I think we can call it for the day here. You know, this is just where we're at, and we have to deal with the reality of the situation accordingly, because I mean, the reality is that these people are primarily responsible for over half the population in the United States. They are responsible for being able to provide for the people that are consumers and that have families, that have goods, and he wants to take care of his own. And this is very metaphorical and very symbolic in regard to the landscape of life as a whole right now, because, you know, we're entering a zeitgeist, really, and we're gonna have to choose. And so I hope this video was informative to you guys. I hope it was providing some insight to what's happening, what's going on, and where things are going. And with that being said, peace be with you all. Till next time.